In this fresh video you are going to know the whole storyline of a very fascinating thrilling movie Smile. Dr. Rose Cotter, a specialist who was damaged by seeing her mom's self-destruction at age 10, takes a crisis meeting with graduate understudy Laura Weaver after she is owned up to Mount Wonderful Emergency Clinic. Laura, who saw her teacher Gabriel Munoz cudgel himself with a mallet only a couple of days sooner, wildly guarantees she is being spooky by a malignant presence whose revile has consumed her life and nobody however her can see. Albeit Rose analyze her as having mental trips, Laura demands that the element has the ability to show up as others wearing a frightful grin. Guaranteeing she is going to pass on, Laura out of nowhere goes ballistic, then, at that point, starts grinning forebodingly prior to cutting open her neck with a messed up container shard before Rose. It comes out that Rose's ex-boyfriend Joel is one of the investigators who questions her about Laura's death. With a terrifying smile, Rose tells Laura what she was informed about allegedly being cursed by an evil entity while still reeling from what she had seen. Rose starts to notice Laura grinning at her everywhere. Rose is motivated by the visions to research Gabriel Munoz's suicide, and she discovers that Gabriel had a peculiar smile on his face just before he died. Carl Rankin, a patient of Rose who was formerly hospitalized for a manic episode, is checked on. Rose calls security when Carl threatens her with a sinister smirk and starts to terrorize her. Carl is restrained by orderlies, but it turns out Rose had simply imagined Carl acting violently. Rose's supervisor Dr. Morgan Desai gives her a week off because he thinks that Rose may have experienced a mental breakdown as a result of Laura's unexpected death. Rose is at home alone when the security alarm sounds after another unsettling Laura vision. A security service operator appears to phone Rose and leave a mocking voicemail. Shortly after, Rose receives a call from the real operator. When Rose's fiancé Trevor gets home, she discovers that her cat is missing. Rose is watching the recordings from her session with Laura when she gets startled again and needs Trevor to calm her down. Rose sees Dr. Madeline Northcott, her former therapist, out of concern for her own mental health. Madeline interprets Rose's explanation that she is experiencing hallucinations as a result of her long-standing remorse over her mother's deliberate overdose. Madeline rejects Rose's request for a prescription for an antipsychotic drug. Rose and Trevor go to Rose's sister Holly's home for Jackson's birthday celebration. Jackson is Rose's nephew and is 7 years old. Jackson finds Rose's dead cat placed within his gift as he opens it, horrifying the other guests. Rose trips and falls through a glass table after another terrifying vision of Laura, vehemently denying that she is to blame. Rose tries to tell Trevor about the alleged curse that afflicted Laura, presumably being passed on to her as her sanity begins to crumble. Trevor dismissively accuses Rose of killing their cat and having a mental disorder like her mother. Rose visits Gabriel Munoz's widow Victoria. Victoria shows Rose macabre sketches Gabriel drew of a dark entity he claimed was trying to get inside him. Rose also learns Gabriel was traumatized by the death of his brother 20 years ago, and he began ranting about the curse after attending a conference where he saw a woman kill herself. Rose asks for the woman's name, but Victoria kicks Rose out of her house after Rose becomes insistent that Gabriel was telling the truth about his curse. Rose convinces Joel to help her continue connecting clues. Joel uses his police computer to access a file for Angela Powell, who was the real estate agent that Gabriel Munoz saw die. Additional video shows that, several days prior to her death, Angela saw a smiling man suddenly hack his own neck with gardening shears at a gas station. When Rose gets home, she discovers that Trevor had requested an intervention from Madeline due to Rose's troubling mental state. Rose runs out to deliver copies of Joel's files to her sister Holly, feeling deceived. When Rose tries to tell Holly about the curse, the sisters fight over how Rose is acting like their controlling mother. Joel phones Rose to let her know that more investigation has turned up a string of 20 incidents that are identical and involve witnesses to 19 suicides. Robert Talley, an accountant, was an exception who saw his business colleague commit suicide. But 4 days later, Robert murdered a stranger instead of killing himself. The trend continued for another week until the suicide of the witness to Robert's deeds. Joel visits Robert Talley's prison visitation with Rose. Rose confides in an unconvinced Joel during the journey that she believes the entity poses victims before they commit suicide and that she is concerned her time with the curse is running out. At the jail, Robert tells Rose in confidence that the only way to free herself from the curse is to murder another person, but there must be a witness because the creature needs trauma to survive. When Robert knows Rose is currently under the curse, he quickly becomes anxious. Madeline pays Rose a visit at her house. When the actual Madeline contacts Rose on the phone, Rose understands the apparition is posing as her. Rose is in danger from Madeline's grinning double. Equipped with a kitchen blade, Rose drives to the clinic. Rose encounters a dream of cutting her patient Carl to death before Dr. Desai, who then, at that point, detaches his own face. The genuine Dr. Desai finds Rose in her vehicle with the blade and he attempts to bring help before she hastily drives away. Joel calls to tell Rose there is an APB out for her in light of the experience with her concerned manager at the emergency clinic. Rose secretively makes sense of that she will defy the element and needs to be separated from everyone else so no observers can acquire the revive. Rose drives to her neglected youth home where her mom kicked the bucket. Inside, Rose stands up to a dream of her mom, who blames Rose for permitting her to bite the dust by not calling for help after tracking down her going too far. Rose blames her mom for being a harmful beast. The vision then, at that point, transforms into a thin animal that assaults Rose. Rose sets the animal ablaze utilizing an oil lamp. Rose then, at that point, gets away from outside as the whole house disintegrates. Rose visits Joel to apologize for including him in this present circumstance and for not being genuinely accessible during their relationship. Rose acknowledges she is as yet reviled when Joel grins shockingly. Rose escapes outside to find she never left her insalvageable shape adolescent's home. At the abandoned home, the real Joel shows up. Rose locks Joel outside to keep him safe as the thing yanks open her mouth and climbs inside of her. Joel enters the house just in time to witness Rose light herself on fire while grinning menacingly.